Welcome to my thoughts on Ironheart, Season 1, Episode 1, Take Me Home. The episode is rated TV 14, so will this video be. There will be spoilers for the episode and everything MCU and adjacent leading up to it, but not for... I am aware that there are another 2 episodes already ready. I'll try to get to them fairly soon, but it shouldn't be more than a few days. But I haven't watched them yet, so this video will not spoil them. And yeah, I really love this episode. So to get a couple of things out of the way immediately, great music and acting. I am invested in the story and the characters and the world. And yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, actually, I think I will briefly talk, thematically, I thought they did a good job. Right, I guess I'll just very briefly say, so certain things here are very specific to the African American experience. I am not going to white-splain. At least I'm going to do my very best not to. Let's see. Yeah, so the themes. I thought they did a really good job of setting up and exploring multiple themes here. So we have this idea of, feeling small, or your world feeling small, constraining we have the thing of, Riri may have to, having to go outside of the system, in order to accomplish your goals and not be small. And let's see, Riri trying to not think too much about Natalie, with others, thinking she needs to deal with it, sometimes purposefully reminding her, sometimes just not realizing that it's upsetting to her to hear about. That might be... I feel like, was there maybe one more... that might be it. I thought they did a really good job over the course of the episode, setting up and doing some exploring. I don't know if it's the last episode. Certainly I imagine the stuff, Riri processing grief over Natalie, that appears to be here to stay. I think that might cover the themes. And let's see, I think I think they've done a good job on the setup. I wonder if we're going to see all 3. So there's 3 upcoming jobs. And yeah, I think it could be very cool if we get to see at least more than one of them. And yeah, by the end, Riri is going to realize she doesn't really want to be helping these people and have to fight them or something. Just theorizing here, haven't watched further, but yeah. Let's see. I think that does just about, it was a nice bit of, here at the very start of the episode, we need to be brought up to speed, the episode assumes that you remember, Wakanda Forever, or at the very least understand, it works fine as the first MCU thing you watch, you don't really need to know details that are not in the episode to follow. You could tell, okay, Tony Stark was a big deal, and there was something about an iron suit, iron tech suit, with him as well. He's gone, and yeah, the thing about Wakanda, like you don't need to know that much really. Um, but yeah, the narration there at the start was her, you know, explaining to the dean and the professor. I think that does. And yeah, she ends up getting expelled, and very effective smash cut between, do you have something to say? And then, guards are there, and, she has to put on the suit. At first, I thought they were going to actually be like, oh, nobody in this room has peripheral vision. She's just going to be able to walk out. Thankfully, by the end, no. She's putting on the suit somewhat surreptitiously, and then she flies out. She's not actually getting out without anybody noticing the suit. And yeah, they very quickly revoke her student ID, so she can't keep using Trevor, and then, parts of the suit go flying off. And that was also great, this thing of, Thanos was just the beginning, which again, the audience don't need to know, it's just, oh, it was a big deal, and Tony Stark stopped him, And he's like, Tony Stark is not going to be able to stop this time. And then, the faceplate lands, like, right in front of him. That was, yeah. So the guy who pays at the store with no credit, no haggling, sure got to her place fast. But I guess if he immediately got in a car right after he spotted her flying by, and then drove, because like she was visible in the sky, I could see it, because there's no way he recognized her from down there. That must have been, he got there, got a dog, and recognized her walking, maybe even heard her say her name, possibly. But yeah, I do think it works. It's just barely works as like being credible, and that's enough for me. When she crashes, we do see that Riri is at least as capable of just walking off, crashing in an iron tech suit as Tony was. Let's see. Right, all of the relationships so far really feel authentic, and like, yeah, it feels like these are people who've known each other for a long time, rather than just actors portraying characters who've known each other for a long time. The Eric Andre character keeps asking people to call him Rampage, and is very happy when Riri, calls him at Rampage. I hope he'll be happy to find out if he ever looks up on IMDb. According to IMDb, his character is named Rampage. And I think at least one of his fellow, criminals are listed by an actual, given name. I am not really the right person to comment on it, but I did notice that by far the most overtly LGBTQ plus coded MCU character so far, I guess, unless there is something in one of the, I'm almost done with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a few MCU and adjacent shows. Anyway, in the main MCU so far, that character is one of the criminals. When that, like, you could easily have had like Xavier be that, heavily coded. So yeah, I'm not the right person to comment on it. It was just something I noticed. I think, yeah, their break-in failing was also good. You know, yeah, you get why they feel like they need, you know, yeah, I mean, yeah, let's see. So for one thing, they want someone to take over for Rampage. And they also say, you know, we need hardware, you know. But yeah, like clearly, I mean, I'm not sure Rampage would say that it's his fault. And I'm not 100% sure if it was or if there was some other, but, you know, they need some, yeah. It's important for the story that we buy that they would hire someone else. She's someone else. That's right. Yeah, relationship between, you know, with Xavier and with her mom Ronnie feels very, very, very real. And I guess I can't put it off any longer. Why did this have to premiere so close to 28 years later? Like, can this maybe be the last thing I watch for a little while? That's like recent, current. That just like screws with my emotions like this. So yeah, the very moment that like basically from right away we get, okay, something bad's gonna happen to Natalie. Obviously, it's gonna happen to one of them, and Riri's the lead, so it's gotta be Natalie. Something bad's gonna happen to her, and then she goes and says she just wants to be happy, and even acknowledges, I know that's sappy, chappy. Yeah. Um, I am glad that she is the AI, and is, you know, so yeah, there's a couple of things there. For one thing, yeah, she's one of the most compelling, like her performance is really, really great. And the way that she is with Riri. Um, and also, like, the fact that this is going to force Riri to process, you know, that's a really clever like bit of yeah, the concept, the writing there, and yeah, you know, the fact that yeah, the closing line is Riri saying Natalie, and you know she says who else would it be? I know I slightly reworded that, and that is a great, because like that's a way to greet someone, you know, what did you expect, the Easter Bunny kind of thing, you know. And it's also like kind of saying to the audience, I mean, yeah, we all knew this was where we were going, right? Or like saying, yep, we're going there, depending on if you did or did not figure out that was where they were going. Let's see. I thought that the yeah, Xavier taking her to the garage and them talking and reminiscing, and I don't yet know, because we haven't spent that much time with Xavier, if he's clueless or pushy, because he keeps talking about, you know, oh, remember that, you remember that, don't you? And yeah, I can see an argument for both. And it is the kind of thing, you know, several people who know feel like she has to process it. You know, like her mom and her mom's friends are not going to, like, you know, they talk about it behind, you know, behind the door, and Riri overhears. They maybe don't confront her as much directly. And also, you know, before you judge them harshly or something, keep in mind, you know, what was the line? You know, you don't call, you know, so like how could they talk to her about it? And they did not know that she was anywhere nearby, because normally she's at MIT. She's not back home, you know. And that's also, you know, Trevor's like, I don't have an address for home because she doesn't visit, you know. She built this Iron Tech suit twice, I guess, by now. She never actually used it to fly home, even though clearly it didn't take very long. And it is also one of those things of like, you know, oh, are they technically gossiping? Yeah. And we got a destigmatize that. I appreciate this episode trying to do that. Because if you heard them, or if you just now realize, oh, they were gossiping, and you're like judging them, do note they're expressing concern for her. They're trying to help, and yeah, I mean, I get why some people have an aversion to it, but sometimes a problem is solved in part by people trying to figure out, without talking to the person directly. If that person is not willing to face up to it, you talk and you figure out, and like, if you don't think that, if the grief aspect doesn't really work for you, well, think about that's also how you organize an intervention, if someone has a substance abuse problem. So yeah, I think that might, yeah, and yeah, the moment Xavier, comes by, can we talk tomorrow? And she's like, no, because you're a perfect excuse for me to get away from my mother. And yeah, like at her age and all this stuff, and the thing with, because she doesn't call, she had to hear it from a janitor. Then just, yeah. Landon, good hustle, kid. Uh, $20. She thought it was free. She thought he was being friendly. He didn't say it was free. He never said. He just said, I can carry your things for you. That's not the same thing as saying, I'll do it for free. If you're good at something, never do it for free. And yeah, the let's see. I think that might more or less cover that. Right. They also acknowledge crap, what's it called? It's right on the tip of my tongue. And it is not acid. Does that joke even... Does anybody outside of Denmark know that joke? I don't even know if that's an international joke. I just realized that. Yeah, sometimes being multilingual is confusing. Holy crap. I swear I had, like, just seconds ago I knew what it was called. Catcalling, that's it. And it's important to note that's not, like, just a black thing. That's, straight guy under patriarchy thing. Let's see. I quite liked... I don't know if they're probably not going to do that for every episode, but the fact that they got creative with the title card, technically the title is, she crashed, and the she makes up the A in Ironheart, and the rest of it is like damage done to the street by the crashing. That was great. And also the thing of, get out of the street, yeah, big city life. I think that might yeah, the thing about, okay, so, yeah, the guy shows up and pays. How did he know how much it cost? Was there, like, a register that was showing it? Because I didn't notice that. I can't help but notice that I didn't notice that. Because he seemed to know exactly how much to put down. Anyway. Yeah, I like her standing up for Tony Stark. And the yeah, and also the fact that she gets kicked out because of this damage. Like, Tony did significant damage. I guess kind of always, but like very early when he was building like the Mark II. Yeah, but a lot of the stuff he broke was his own, and he's rich and white and a guy, so he just got away with it, and she's not, so she didn't. Now, like, we're told, oh, she had a lot of disciplinary, well, we're told that Tony was difficult when he was young, so that also, like, yeah, I think they're doing a really good job showing that. And I feel like they're probably setting up the group that she's now going to work with, led by the Hood. You know, they're gonna like serve as the example of, you know, you can go too far if you go outside the system. You might have to go outside the system, but be careful you don't, you know. And yeah, that I think works as this sort of, you know, yeah, the superhero do-gooder moral thing. I liked seeing the actor Community. I think he was on, and that's why he was in Civil War. It was cool to see him again. Uh, I don't hate the joke about, you know, because we saw he was fine, and then he's at this meeting after the power outage. Yeah, he got hurt because of the power. Yeah, did not love the joke about, oh, he's struggling to adjust to like his arm being, you know, kind of messed up. That felt a little ableist to me. Yeah. Um, yeah. I think that does bring us to, yeah. The test was clever. Yeah, she just had to find some way to get out of there, and yeah, you know, it's seeing how does she do under pressure. What exactly does she do in order to get out of this situation? You know, it's a multiple choice. I think that might just about. I got a decent enough idea of each of the members of the Hood's gang. Each of them got just a tiny bit, you know, just a little bit of like dialogue, or the way they handle a situation, the way they respond to a situation has some kind of, you know. I think that might more or less cover. The action was fairly hard hitting, and I thought they did a pretty good job making it believable. You know, because you know, you've got these guards going up against, you know, these women. They're not like the biggest and most, you know, yeah, like physically they're not super imposing, but yeah, the moves that they pulled felt like, okay, that would work. You know, they tend to do pretty well at that in the MCU. They've done well on that on the various Black Widows as well. Let's see, yeah, the thing about, you know, all the money in the box, and he hands her some just like down payment, and he's like, you got to have the suit ready for tomorrow, you know, which like, okay. I mean, I just don't know how she's going to be able to do that. Oh, I know just what we need. We're going to need a montage. Let's see yeah, the mixtape. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember cassette tapes and the whole, you know, because I like at first I was thinking, I think today you'd probably just use an MP3 player, but okay. But yeah, I mean, maybe he's not tech savvy enough to, you know, but yeah, because it's like, it was a part of it was like, was it from the answering machine, or did he record it onto there? Because like cassette recorders are a thing, and maybe he's, yeah, but and yeah, we see exactly what did happen in as much detail as they can show on, you know, TV 14, and yeah, it really it hit hard, and I feel like Riri might have PTSD, because like, even for like grieving, don't get me wrong, I know grieving, it seemed like she was almost reliving it, and like it really, really got to her in a way that feels like more than just like thinking back to it. So yeah, if it is meant to be PTSD, I hope they continue to do this good a job of exploring it. The MCU proper has not always been the very best, although Iron Man 3 did a fairly decent job. Some MCU adjacent stuff has done a really good job exploring trauma in a very brutally honest way. You know, the Marvel, Netflix, Marvel ones, yeah. I think that does pretty well. Let's see. Yeah, I don't offhand remember the Hood from the comics. It's possible that I read, keep in mind, it's been like 18 years since I last, like, regularly read comic books. In recent years, sometimes I'll read them as, like, research for the movies based on them. I'm not entirely sure what the Hood's deal is, but I'm thinking we're gonna find out about the back tattoo injury combination, I guess it is. Let's see. And yeah, the creepy disembodied voice whisper as he hangs up the cape was also quite cool. I'm really looking forward to finding out what's going on there. I thought they did a good job of like the Hood's gang members are just charismatic enough that you buy that Riri would. I mean, she knows that it's criminal, but there's a difference. Yeah. It needs to be convincing to the audience that she would trust them as far as she can fly them. I think that might more or less. Let's see. Am I missing something? Because I did already talk about the very ending with Natalie, who on the IMDb page for the episode is like there's a period after each letter and all of them are capitalized. So yeah, identified as an AI, and let's see. I wonder if they're actually going to have an abbreviation for that, like Tony would make. Is there anything else that... I gotta say, I honestly thought Eric Andre's character Rampage would be out of the show before the end of the episode, but I guess, yeah, maybe they're gonna have some sort of rivalry between him and Riri. I did also notice, and that was something the subtitles made sure to underline, Trevor keeps mispronouncing her name. Let's see. I think I thought they did a really good job. Like once she's in Chicago, they spend very few seconds on it, but we get a real sense of location. Like the couple different like storefronts and such we see felt like, yeah, you get what this place is, what this neighborhood is. Let's see. I think that might just about cover. So yeah, the episode is a tiny bit late for Juneteenth, but better late than never. And yeah, from what I hear, Donald Trump did not particularly celebrate, which, I mean, at this point, we're not really surprised. But yeah, I did hear someone point out it's not really up to him whether other people celebrate. It's been celebrated for some time now, and they're not going to, the black community, in the community of black people in America are not going to let you know, Orange Hitler, yeah, stop them from celebrating their freedom.